Hi friends, and guten Morgen. For those that are new here, I'm Patrick. I am exploring a year in plant-based wellness that intersects with topics of personal growth, my family, and the communities and how I navigate them around me. And I'm in the middle of a couple different fun projects that are a little different than what I am used to sharing, but I am excited about them developing. And I have a couple days of downtime, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to explore this concept I came across a couple of weeks ago about a dopamine detox. Now, don't get me wrong, it feels like 100% one of those like wellness scams where they tell you, oh, just think positive things and you'll be fine, or your depression will be cured if you don't think these things, or if you do this for 30 days, you'll be cured of your mental health obstacles. And this dopamine detox feels like it's in that same wheelhouse. And it's really this concept of, I think the biggest thing is like reducing screen time. It's not exploring those means of instant gratification that make you feel all these positive things and just sit where you are right now. And that's what I want to explore today is if I'm avoiding things that bring me gratification, how do I actually navigate the day? What does that day look like? And so knowing this, I went to bed last night and I did not set my alarm. And what actually happened was I woke up early, and I woke up early feeling a sense of panic that I was going to miss an alarm, which is nonsense. So I'm up super early. I still don't know what I'm doing today, but I'll share some of it. I think I'm gonna clean out the fireplace behind me and wipe this down. I might walk into this portal over here. I haven't really decided. Karen might get some attention and love if you can hear her meowing. But yeah, so today is a day with dopamine detox or dopamine fasting. So it's been 2 days since my dopamine fast, and I originally had already recorded some afterthoughts the morning after because I spent a lot of time just by candlelight writing the night before I went to bed, and I wanted it to be a full 24 hours. And then I was procrastinating a little bit. I wasn't quite sure fully what I had thought about the whole idea, the concept, what I pulled away from just doing a 24-hour fast from dopamine. And I am glad that I took that pause because from what I originally thought I was going to talk about, I'm a little bit, well, not as aligned to that original thought now. And that is because I was expecting something more, and I think I was trying to put my mind around what it was supposed to be. I was trying to fit the expectation of the experience, and that's just honestly not what I got from this. And I want to share that a little bit more candidly. I should begin by re-explaining that dopamine's just this like neurotransmitter that's basically like the feel-good pleasure aspect of brain chemistry, and there can be a lot more said about what it specifically is, but it's that thing that identifies within your body of, I did X, so Y is the reward. And that transmission and that thought between the two is essentially your dopamine driving you. And again, this is a very reduced, boiled down example of what dopamine is and how it corresponds. And it also does more things. So I just want to say that this is a very, very, I don't know, generalized perspective of dopamine is just the like pleasure chemical. And when looking up how other people do their dopamine fast, I'm like doing the condescending air quotes now apparently. There's no electronics, there's no music, there's no, TV, talking, food, sex, anything of like these big drivers for what pleasure is. And to be honest, I'm outside of the plurality or the majority of people with this. I found these things to be relatively easy to take out of my life. I don't have specific social media accounts for reasons I got rid of a couple of years ago. I am somebody who did not have a cell phone for the majority of the last 10 years. I think for 8 of the last 10 years, I did not have a cell phone. What I did struggle with was the no music aspect to like these guidelines, because for me, music is something that is transformative to what allows me to remain here, but also mentally go elsewhere. It's like a transport conduit for like deeper thinking, meditation, those like deeper planes type of, frames of mind. And so I had to think about what was good for me, what serves me in the idea of, in my life outside of the mainstream, what is something that is pleasurable and something that I seek a lot of, enjoyment from. And I do like getting lost creatively. I like working my wheelhouse of, this is how most people do it. How do I do it? Or how is my unique perspective, how does that fit into the mainstream? And I like to think about myself as, this black sheep, but within the herd. And that's how I spend a lot of my life fitting in uniquely. And with that, I had to think about, okay, well, these mainstream ideas are easy to get rid of. They don't really even bring me much pleasure anyway, but also sitting down by the river and watching the fish or watching the currents cascade over rocks as I get lost in thought about the future, where I am, where I've come from, like I like all that stuff. So I had to not do any of that stuff. And between those two extremes is where I struggled with, well, what am I actually going to do? And what I actually did are things that seem relatively boring. And I emptied an aquarium I'd been putting off. I put up a little plaster in our dry pantry that I've been putting off. I cut my hair because cutting my hair myself stresses me out just a little bit, but I know that it's something that I need to do. I put up the matching corner shelving brackets and just rearranged some things that may or may not be permanent. And even within these things, there was this creative mind of, well, here's placement on the shelves. Here's how far up I'm going to take my hairline. Here's, well, maybe not the plastering, but there was this creative flow through it. And I also thought to myself, well, maybe also thinking of the creative things or capturing how I'm doing it is going to be something that brings me enjoyment. And it was a little bit. So what I ended up doing was shutting down what I was doing. Plus, I also tried this. I am constantly looking for a way to get my little kitchen cauldron to be clean again. Like, it just is like permanently stained, and I've been trying all these hacks, and even this vinegar baking soda approach was not successful. So I didn't go into thinking, and I didn't engage with music or creativity or brain thought or really a little bit of anything. And where I did go was eventually I felt a little bit of relief of what I got from this was I broke a pattern maybe of procrastination. And while I don't make a priority out of doing like these little tasks here and there, they do stack up of, oh, I'll do this 10-minute project another time, and I never really get to it. And that in itself became this boring project that brought me a little bit of reframed gratitude or, unexpected pleasure. So when I come back to this idea of dopamine fasting, is anyone actually fasting from dopamine? Are you resetting your dopamine levels? And the answer to that is absolutely not. You are not doing that. What you are doing is creating a temporary pause in a reframed engagement of what you're doing. And it's sort of like going turkey on some distracting, reoccurring bad habits because you are patterned to constantly repeat itself. Which also brings me to the question of, is dopamine fasting, while it is trendy, is it sustainable? And that answer is also no. This is the cold turkey abstinence only approach to doing these things. Again, you're not resetting any of your dopamine levels, so it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it's also not supporting and sustaining a habit in itself. So you're more likely to gravitate and eventually come back to these distracting habits before. Is it beneficial for assessing gratitude in other ways? I personally felt that it was. I was able to get pleasure out of reframing and moving my day and thinking about things and what to fill my day with, even if it was low input type of brainwave material. And I will say, in that particular aspect of this exercise of dopamine fasting, this was worth giving a shot. I think that with creating a lot of new habits, you have to start somewhere, and sometimes starting somewhere is allowing yourself to just stop and take inventory of where you're at. And once you're able to actually take inventory of where you are, you can better assess how to get there, where you're going. And that may help you redefine things in more of an efficient way. So that also comes to comparing sustainability with efficiency. And I do think that they're interwoven in this exercise a little bit, well, not sustainably. Sustainable is not a word I would put in here. It depends. Well, I don't know. I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this. So dopamine fasting. I think that if you were to engage with this is definitely something to just take lightheartedly, knowing that you're not going to permanently change or assess anything in how you interact or engage with certain behaviors, but it is something that allows you to open up a new vantage point on how you view your day-to-day and what you actually do put worth and gratitude in an aspect of, what boosts your dopamine in your system. But this was my experience, and this was also my experience after I've had a couple of days to reflect on it. If this is something you've tried, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And if this is not something you've tried, just do something fun for you today. And remember to grow from where you are. I will share more with you soon. Tschüss.